Delegate from Suffolk, Delegate Jones.
Speaker, speaking to the bill.
Delegate has the floor.
I appreciate each and every one who has gone the path that I have to run for office and get elected and come to Richmond to do the job that they have been tasked to doing. There's a couple of things I'd like to point out so we understand the difference between the approach that was taken by the administration, they've mentioned in Washington, but how we have done it as long as I have been here, especially as chairman. When the bill was introduced back in December with my name on it, it was very apparent to me that it was a document that did not fully contemplate and consider the impact of the tax cut in the Jobs Act. It, in fact, gave 17% of the money back to those who were paying, back to the people, and spent the other 83%. The bill that is before us gives 100% of those dollars back to Virginians. I think the mistake that we tend to make in this body, no one sneaks anything in. We actually vote on things, and we have, good conversations from my perspective. We are actually doing what is prudent fiscally by not accounting for those limited time revenues in the growth of our budget. When I first came here in 1998 and in 1999 and 2000, we had growths of 9-10% each and every year. We were taken away with the fact we had all this revenue coming in, which didn't always require us to maybe put the keen eye that we should have on those items before us. And we made some decisions that weren't probably the best that we should have at that point in time. But what we have before us is we're taking the money. We've already voted on that bill to put those dollars aside. This is tax policy that would allow Virginians who will no longer be able to itemize their taxes to save them more money. And by increasing the standard deduction, everyone wins in that scenario. By allowing the itemization, many, many more people who could not itemize will be able to itemize and then take advantage of the fact that they were somehow injured inadvertently by the passage of the Federal Tax Cut and Jobs Act. So I'd ask that we would pass this bill, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to speak.
Delegate from Loudoun, Delegate Bell.
Speaking to bill.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a couple of things I want to say about this bill. While I appreciate some of the merits of it, I think there's a better solution out there, and I hope that we will go forward and continue to work.
Delegate from Suffolk, Delegate Jones.
Mr. Speaker, speaking to the bill.
Delegate has the floor.
I'm getting up to make a couple comments to make sure the record is clear about a couple things that have just been said since I spoke. And I mean this with no disrespect to anyone in this chamber. But to infer we're delaying a teacher pay raise till December is just not true. 3% teacher pay raise will occur July 1st of this year. The governor introduced his budget to make it 5% July the 1st. It's that 2%, quite frankly, that many jurisdictions have already paid. Some have done nothing that we felt was only fair to those jurisdictions who don't have as much money to do the raise because it puts a local strain on their taxpayer. That's number one. To insinuate we have done nothing for correctional officers, to me, is very offensive. I have worked with members on that side of the aisle for the last 2 years to find resources to take care of them. Sitting down in my office doing side by side of deputies, state police, and corrections. I think we gave them a $2,000 pay raise that was effective last December. We put $100 million into corrections. So before you talk about what we haven't done, you must acknowledge what we have done. You talk about forms you got to file. Your actions of not doing an emergency clause will cause taxpayers, with your action not to have emergency conformity, to fill out 20 more forms. So the facts, Mr. Speaker, are the facts. I'd move that we would pass the bill.
Delegate from Caroline, Delegate